now that you've married a U.S. citizen, how do you become a U.S. citizen yourself? I'm Erick Widman, I'm an immigration lawyer, and in general, there are three main ways that you and your spouse had gotten married in the immigration context. The first option is that you entered on a fiancé visa and got married within 90 days. The second main option is that you were already in the United States, you met your special someone, you had some kind of status as a student or a worker or a visitor, and then you got married to your spouse. And finally, you might have married your US citizen spouse outside the US, or maybe you flew in and went to Vegas, for example, got married, and then left the United States. So those are the three main ways in the immigration world that you got married to your spouse. Now, in order to become a US citizen, you have to first get a green card. And so if you entered on a fiancé visa and got married, you next have to adjust status, apply for a 2-year green card. And that process involves filing a bunch of forms, waiting roughly 9, 10, 11 months for your interview. With COVID, it's taking longer. And then attending your interview and receiving, about a month later, a 2-year green card. The same process applies to get your 2-year green card if you were already in the United States and adjusted your status from a student or a worker or a visitor. Same process, roughly about a year, maybe 14 months, for you to go through the adjustment of status process and get your 2-year green card that way. Finally, if you're outside the United States and you had an immigrant visa filed for you by your spouse, once you come into the United States, roughly a year, maybe 14 months from the time he or she filed the petition for you, you're going to, at that point, become a permanent resident upon entering the United States and have a 2-year green card as well. So in all three of those situations, you have a 2-year green card after marrying your US citizen spouse. So can you naturalize? Can you apply to be a citizen at that point? Not yet. You have to have had a green card for 3 years in order to apply for citizenship, to apply to naturalize. And so once you get your green card, that starts the clock on that 3-year period. But with a 2-year green card, that means your 2-year green card is going to expire in 2 years, and you have to remove the conditions to get a 10-year green card. So you have to apply for a 10-year green card before that 2-year period ends. And so you have a 90-day window prior to the expiration date to file a removal of conditions form I-751, and then you will, after roughly a year and a half or so, get your 10-year green card, and you can, at that point, apply for citizenship. So what's a little confusing is that while you're waiting for your 10-year green card, you actually quite often become eligible to naturalize. And that's because if you file for your 10-year green card at the 2-year point of being a permanent resident, you're waiting oftentimes a year and a half for that 10-year green card to arrive. But at the 3-year anniversary of you being a permanent resident, you can apply to naturalize. And we recommend that people do that if they want to. If you want to become a US citizen, you could become a US citizen and get your 10-year green card quite often around the same time. We've had many clients handle both at the same interview. They have their 10-year green card awarded to them, conditions removed, and they naturalize at the same date, the same interview appointment. In order to naturalize, you got to file form N-400, and we recommend doing that online these days, at the 3-year point of being a permanent resident. You can also, however, apply 3 months before that 3-year anniversary. So like the 2-year green card removal of conditions, you can start working on that process. You can actually file 90 days before that anniversary point. So if you look at the big picture and you've just married a US citizen and you're wondering how soon will you be able to become a US citizen, it's going to be roughly, if you add that all together, about 5 years. That's the fastest, even with a 3-year naturalization period. Sometimes it can go faster, but that's a general ballpark figure. And that affects your ability to petition for your parents or other benefits of being a U.S. citizen. If you have any questions, definitely get in touch and take care.